Interviewing. Let's talk about suspects and confessions. And why would I ever admit to you that I've done something wrong?
Well, as hardcore as you are, Steve, and you probably wouldn't, but most people have a conscience. Okay?
Okay.
The only reason anybody's going to confess to you is because they feel like that for whatever reason, and there's a multitude of reasons, for whatever reason they feel like that's the best thing for them to do for themselves at that particular time. We were, a guy named Larry Harvey, who was Chief Deputy Sheriff of Fayette County, and myself, picked up a bank robber. Cook County, Illinois jail, brought him back. And he confessed to us on the way back. And they brought us in what they call a suppression hearing, trying to throw the confession out.
Right.
And the thing about Larry was he had gone to Bible college, Lee Bible College, for about 2 years. And he would preach every now and then, so he had that in him. And they went through the thing and said, did you coerce him? Did you promise him anything? Did you mistreat him? No. And the lawyer said, well, Mr. Harvey, if you didn't coerce him, you didn't threaten him, you didn't mistreat him, why on earth would he confess to a bank robbery? And Harvey said, Counselor, the only thing I can think of is he had a tremendous burden of guilt on his heart. I wish we'd had a jury there, he said. But guilt is our best weapon, really. Even with people who may be hardcore.
Even with hardcore people.
Even with hardcore.
All right, is there a technique or approach or whatever that brings that out? I mean, if you're talking about confessions, and why would I ever confess, especially if I know that there are consequences?
Right.
Unless I feel like maybe you know enough, or you've got me hemmed up.
Well, and the best way for me to make you think that I know enough is let you figure it out. Not tell you everything I know. Just make a comment every now and then, or kind of nod my head, look down, like I know this guy, and let him know that I think he's lying. A move like this, my body. That's the best way to. Because if you start telling them what you know, if you got one fact wrong, you just lost their respect, and you've lost them for good, more than likely. The best way to get somebody is, in my opinion, is to start with an empathetic approach. I understand. I can understand. Now, you don't want to say the words, I understand. You do it with your eyes, a nod of the head, that kind of expression.
To confess to something, and the reason would be, what if I'm trying to play this as one? Am I trying to shift it to somebody else, or rationalize my own failures?
Well, we're going to play with that. We're going to work with that all we can. I took 2 confessions from a guy within an hour one time, and he choked 2 people to death. Okay, I think they were homosexual murders. And what this guy said was, he said that he killed them because they offered to pay him for sex, and they withheld his money. Now, whether that's true or not, I'm not sure. We couldn't interview them; they were dead. But that seemed to make him feel like a man, feel like he had been justified in what he did. And he'd already told me that when he came back in jail this time, he was reading his Bible every day. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But what I'm going to do, if I'm talking to a suspect, I'm going to make it easy for him to tell me. If he can't come up with a rationale for why he did it, I'm going to try to come up with one myself.
Are there occasions where you push?
As in what?
Well, I mean, push somebody to confess. I mean, that you feel like you're on the edge and that they're close?
Well, yeah. I mean, push may not be the term that I would use, but like, a guy that I think of automatically is a guy named Kenneth O'Gwen, killed Sheila Couples through out here on the bypass back about 1980 or 81. And the first time I talked to him, I was knee to knee with him, whispering in his ear. And I was saying, Kenneth, I know you didn't mean to kill her. You didn't mean to kill her. But you can't carry that burden on your heart. You're not that kind of person. I can already tell you're not that kind of person. You got to get that burden off your heart. It's going to kill you. And he was nodding his head. One of the things that I always say, let them tell it, let them talk. And the guy that was with me broke into the conversation and said, yeah, but you still got the so-and-so blood on your hands. Lost him just like that. If somebody starts confessing to you or making an admission of guilt, which is a little bit shorter than a confession, we'll talk about that in another session, let them tell it first. Don't interrupt them. I don't care if there's an earthquake. You stand there and you keep looking at them, you keep nodding your head saying, talk to me. Give them an open body language. Talk to me, let's hear it. And the thing about it is, Steve, if you and I are both talking to somebody, and they're obviously paying more attention to you, it lets you need to do the interview. I need to become furniture. And then if you're trained right, when you get through, you can say, Jimmy, you got any questions? And I've been over here making notes and watching their body language. You know, I saw about the empathetic approach, and I interviewed a guy, a sheriff's department hired me to go talk to a guy named Tommy Lynn Sells out in Houston, Texas. Well, he's near Houston. And he was good for 23 murders. He had some kind of disease, and they said it was inhumane to execute him. So that's the reason he was still alive for me to talk to him. But even a guy like that, the murder I was talking to him about, a woman was murdered and her little baby was murdered, like a 2-year-old. And I said, Tommy Lynn, I don't know, why did you kill the baby? Why did you kill that child, man? You didn't have to kill that child. And he literally, I almost saw a tear come out of his eyes, I think. And I'll never forget what he said, because he was dodging the guilt a little bit himself. He said, Jimmy, sometimes when you get started, the knife just takes control. You know. But even that guy, as hardcore as he was, the empathetic approach is working on him. And once again, if you start out as an empathetic approach that I understand, I see it through your eyes, it's easier to go from that to Breaking Bad on it than it is to come in like a hard guy or a hard girl. Let them tell it. Don't interrupt them. Let them tell it.